Tonight we are going to have another educator from different part of the world, and our educator tonight is an English teacher and teacher trainer, Simone Vieira from Brazil. When she comes, we are going to start our live session with her, and I'm sure we are going to have a very fruitful session with her. I'm just waiting for her to join. When she comes, we are going to start. Let me invite her. And waiting for her. Yes, there she is. Okay, let me accept her invitation for the session. Right, just a moment, I will send you another invitation. Now, try this one. Hope we can make it. I have sent a request to you. I have sent. Let me send again. Done it.
There
There
we
he
go.
is. There we go. Yes, exactly.
Hey,
It's nice to see you. Okay.
great to see
Hello.
you
Uh,
too.
yeah, it's great to see you. Okay, just let me clarify. Is it Simon or Simone? Which one?
Simone in Portuguese, but in English it's Simone.
Simone. Oh, okay, great.
Mhm.
Simone. All right. Okay, Simone. It's nice to see you. And I would like to say thank you very much for accepting my invitation for Teacher Talks and being my guest tonight for 151st session, Simone. It's nice to see
What an
you and
honor.
honored to have you. Thank you very much. And we are all busy, and I know you are also busy. So if you are ready, we can start.
Yes, I'm ready. We can
Okay,
start.
wonderful. Okay, so can you tell us about yourself, please, and a bit about your experiences too, Simone?
Sure. I am Brazilian. I live in Brazil. And when I was a kid, my parents decided to venture to the United States. And that's when my story with English began. We moved to the United States for them to try their life working there. And as a consequence, I ended up learning English, falling in love with English. It was really tough at first because I had never had English classes in Brazil. So I struggled a lot, but
Sorry.
eventually I learned. And when they decided to come back, I was already a teenager. Uh, I thought, why not go into this path of, teaching English? Many people were asking me, you speak English? Can you teach us? Can you teach us? And when I started, I I could speak English, but I couldn't teach. So it was a
Uh-huh.
journey for me to learn how to teach, to become a teacher, and I guess that was a beautiful journey. It's been more than 20 years, almost 25.
Wow, it's wonderful. It's a great, great experience. Thank you very much, Simone. So, my next question is, what was or were your turning point or points in your own education?
So I was thinking about that. There were two important moments. I think when I was a kid in the United States, not knowing any English, there was a very patient teacher who would stay with us, me and my brother, after school. She would show us flashcards and patiently ask us to repeat those flashcards. She would bring books, even though we couldn't speak English. We started repeating after her, and things started making sense. And I remember her being so accommodating and so patient that I
Uh-huh.
think that made an impact in my life as a teacher as well. And the second turning point was here in Brazil already in college when my professor realized that I could speak English very well. And she asked me to take half the group. She had asked permission from the directors or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And she had asked me to take half the group in college to help them to teach some basic stuff in English. And I think that is when my love for teaching kind of, it was already there, but I think it blossomed beautifully because if I could teach these university students being so young, then
I
I
see.
think teaching would be, my calling.
Oh, I see. It's a great, wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing those moments actually with us,
Yes,
Simone. Okay, and Simone, you have just mentioned here also you have been teaching for a long time, almost 20 years. You are teaching, you said, and probably in your teaching career you have tried different methodologies, different techniques, and different strategies, and also kind of probably you have a philosophy of teaching.
sure.
So, what is it? What is your philosophy of teaching?
I think basically my philosophy nowadays revolves around fostering creativity. um, love for the language, but brought out by creativity. I believe in creating an inclusive and supportive classroom environment and making students feel empowered to express themselves freely. But the idea of bringing creativity into the classroom as a teacher, trying to explore different ways, different aids, different visuals, different formats of teaching, and getting them to be creative as well in the process. So teaching with creativity and teaching for creativity.
I see. Thank you. That's really important. The creativity is really, the crucial point for teaching. Okay, thank you. And we are educators, and you are, and we have lots of stories in our careers, like some bad stories, some good stories, some failed stories, and some success stories. And can you tell us one or two success stories of yours, something inspirational? But if you want to tell your failed stories, if you have, that's also accepted. It's your choice.
Sure. I think I could start with a fail story. When I was young, a teenager, and I started teaching, I took for granted trainings and I thought knowing English was enough. And the people who
Uh-huh.
hired me thought that too because they had this interview with me in English. Okay, you speak English, you can come and teach. And I was so nervous on the first day that I forgot to introduce myself to the students. I said, "Hi, please open your books," and I started teaching. And when I turned around to write, an adult who was my student wrapped up a paper ball and threw on my head and said, "Aren't you going to introduce yourself?" And I was so nervous that I completely forgot that. And I took that as a lesson that no matter what we do, we should get training. We should be humble to know that there's always something we can learn, and there's always
Exactly. Uh-huh.
ways to improve ourselves, right? Not just assume that we know everything and
Sure.
off we go. But a successful story. There are so many. There have been so many along the years. But I think one of the stories that is very touching to me is about an evening group with adults,
Uh-huh.
and they were so involved and so enthusiastic about learning. I think I had something to do with creating that environment.
I
That
see.
one of the students mentioned that she had lost her husband
Oh,
around 6 months prior, and she had been struggling and going through a difficult moment. But she realized that every time she was in class with us, it was the only time of the day she would be able to forget a little bit about the grief and the
oh,
pain.
oh, I
And she
see.
was so involved in the class. So that was really a success story for me.
Oh, okay, it's really important for us. Maybe I think you have the chance to touch her heart. I think it's really nice in the lessons that you mentioned. It's so sad. Thank you about your success stories and fails one. Thank you very much. And Simone, so let me tell you another thing is about for you as an educator or trainer, what are the most important qualities and skills a successful English language teacher should possess? Or if you think that not only English teachers, you can also talk about it general teachers.
Teachers in general, I guess, empathy would be a very important characteristic skill, I think, for a teacher, because we don't know the students' backgrounds. We don't know if they have been in conflict with the language, if it's their first time, if they struggle, if they have psychological blocks. So being a teacher who brings this empathy skill to the classroom is really
I see.
important.
Uh-huh.
I think cultural sensitivity as well, right? Because um, we are teaching a language, and it's okay to bring cultural aspects of countries that speak this language, but we also should acknowledge our students culture and try to make them feel not excluded by this new culture but integrated. So I think cultural sensitivity, empathy, and communication skills. The teacher needs to know how to communicate, how to,
Exactly.
not come in
Hmm.
the class and blah, 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 with basic students. Right?
I see. Thank you. Thank you very much for your ideas. All right. So you have, I think you have some in, you also train. You also have lots of training sessions and you have done some presentations.
Mhm.
And when you think about them, uh, what was or were the most interesting situations you have faced?
So there have been lots of trainings that I've conducted in person and online, and I think what touches me the most is when a teacher who's also been in the journey for 20 years or more comes up to me and says, you have rekindled my passion for teaching. The things that you brought here made me want to continue on this journey. I've been tired of it. I know a lot, but as we all do, at some point we get tired of doing the same thing.
I see.
So being
Uh-huh.
able to rekindle this passion, for teachers who have been in the journey long enough is something really important. And of course, helping the ones who are beginning. But I think when you're able to touch someone who's been doing this for such a long time, there's some value to it.
I see. Thank you. Thank you very much. And you are trainer, and also you help teachers. So
Mhm.
how do you help them as a trainer, or what do teachers expect to get from you, and how do they reach you to get help from you?
So Um, creativity for teachers. The Instagram that I
Uh-huh.
that the profile here is my main channel.
I see.
There are other ways of getting in touch with me, but this is the main channel, and I offer. I used to offer on a regular basis a training towards teaching grammar in diverse and fun ways, teaching vocabulary in engaging ways, ways to bring and to present uh, different structures. So I am very focused on the skills that we like speaking, writing, reading, and I will help teachers figure out different ways to explore these skills And grammar, I think, is such an important part, and students and teachers try to avoid it as much as possible. So I
I
bring
see.
a positive view on how to teach grammar in a creative and engaging way.
I
And
see.
not only grammar, but that is one of the starting points of the training.
I got it. Thank you. We just mentioned creativity and creative things. So let me ask another question about it. So when do you realize the creative teaching was important, and how did you bring it to your classes?
So I had been teaching for about 15 years already. I had gone through lots of trainings, college, but I felt like these teachers who take my training now, I felt like I was just wearing off of this
Uh-huh.
passion for teaching, you know? I felt like my ideas were all the same. And when we are bored of our own activities, it's hard to get staged in them, right? Right? So I
Sure.
started researching for ways to teach creative, ways to bring creativity to your classes. And I found a course in New York that was about, bringing creativity into your daily life and your jobs and teaching and everything. And it was something that got me a little scared because it's a trip. It was, far. I would have to pay for all the expenses, but in the end it ended up being the best thing I did for my career. And when I
Wow.
came back, I started sharing this with the teachers who were around me, and that became an official training, and it ended up spreading. So it was really important.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Good luck, and thank you for the things you have done about it, Simone. Okay, so another question is, what is difference between teaching with creativity and teaching for creativity for you?
Teaching with creativity, I like to follow Sir Ken. Let me see if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to get his name wrong. Sir Ken Robinson. Sir Ken Robinson.
Yeah,
He's
Sir Ken
somebody I have
Robinson. Uh-huh.
studied a lot and watched some of his workshops and talks. And I used to do that instinctively, but when I heard it from him, I was like, that's what I do. I try to teach with creativity by um, bringing exercises, bringing games, bringing slides, those slides that now are part of the pack that I sell to other teachers, making things appealing and visually interesting for all ages, not just kids. Kids, teenagers, adults. Adults deserve it after a long day. They are learning another language. They deserve
Uh-huh.
to have, a creative lesson and a creative class. But when I say teaching for creativity, is also encouraging students to take risks and to explore their own creativity as they produce the language.
Oh, I
So
see.
when I bring an activity that might make them a bit uncomfortable, I try to be as accommodating as possible and encouraging and telling them this might feel a little uncomfortable now, but when we're done, you're going to feel so proud. And then I bring fun dialogues for them to do, or maybe singing, or maybe doing some artwork that they haven't done since they were kids and linking that to English. And it ends up making them feel great about themselves and building memories as English being an environment where they can express themselves. So,
Mm, I see. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Simone, about this difference. That's really important. Teaching with creativity and teaching for creativity. And so you clarify it for us. Thank you very much. So, as a supporter of creative teaching, this is related again with the creativity. And how do you encourage your students, to take risks and step out of their comfort zones in their language learning journey, because it's really important and it's really crucial.
yes. And this is the idea of making the environment as accommodating as possible, right? For them to
Uh-huh.
feel like they can make mistakes, for them to feel like they can be themselves. And I bring some data. George Lane was a professor hired by NASA to interview some of the adults, some of the employees who were all adults, and to find out which ones were more creative. It was
I
a study
see.
in the 70s that they wanted to do. And he was kind of impacted by the fact that smart men, smart women were not letting their creativity flow. So he
Oh,
started a
oh,
study that was more than a decade long. He studied um, 5-year-olds, and then he studied 10-year-olds, and then the same kids when they were 15-year-olds. And he realized that the level of creativity had gone down drastically. And what he presumed from that study was kids are not afraid of taking risks. They will
yes,
speak their mind, they will say what they want. And as we grow, we become less creative because we are afraid of making mistakes. So we're afraid of taking
exactly.
risks. So I try to get my adult students or teenage students thinking about this. I tell them, guys, it's natural for us to become more afraid of exposing ourselves as we grow. But we have to try to get that curiosity and that creativity from when we were kids. And in this environment, you're safe to make mistakes, to explore. So, not correcting them in a way that makes them feel embarrassed or making them feel stupid for their mistakes, but encouraging them to, explore
I
these
see. Mhm.
possibilities.
I see. Thank you. Thank you very much, Simone. I just want to remind the audience that if you have any questions to Simon, just write them in. There's a question bar at the bottom of the screen. You can go and you can write your questions, and I can divert her. Okay? Because you can write your comments into the comment bar, but if you write your questions into the comment part, maybe while we are talking, we can skip it or we can miss it. So it's better to write if you have a question to the question part so I can divert. Okay, so let's move to another question, Simone. Okay, so the technology is very the actually it's very interesting because it never stops. It's always the developing itself and it's not easy to catch it. So, and especially the technology related with the latest development and the trends in education. And how do you do that? How do you stay updated with these latest developments and especially the trends in education? And what are your suggestions to the audiences?
It is a challenging task to be updated, right?
Yeah,
Especially for us teachers who have been doing this for a while. We tend to be resistant to new things. I see that with me and my audience, the teachers who I'm helping out. And nowadays, with artificial
yeah,
intelligence, with so
yeah.
many tech tools, I try to stay updated by following teachers who I admire and also by attending webinars, conferences. I watched a webinar recently about the impact of artificial intelligence in teaching and
Uh-huh.
the way we should not turn it into the enemy. We should try to. Students are going to use artificial intelligence, so let's embrace it in a way that it's not harmful to them, but makes
Exactly.
them produce using artificial intelligence. And for us as teachers as well, we can come up
Sure.
with exercises, activities, a lot more things. So I try to follow the people who are posting about that, who are bringing conferences and webinars. It's a way for us to stay updated, right?
Exactly. Yes, totally I agree with you. Okay, thank you very much. So we need to be stay updated because if we are teachers and we should follow the latest developments and technologies, whatever. You just mentioned about the AI, it's fantastic things. So some people say that, oh, I don't need AI to use it because I can do it myself. But if we use the technology in a good way, I think it's fantastic.
Yes.
There is a question. Let me ask. All right. And let me put it into the screen. Can you see it?
Uh-huh.
Uh, do you think new technology kills creativity?
Great question. So I have a workshop that it was a webinar with some teachers from my the followers on Instagram. It was a free workshop, and we talked about ways to be creative using technology and artificial intelligence. There are ways to integrate that. One example, artificial intelligence can come up with pictures, right? We write or talk, and the image is developed. So one activity that I do is I bring an image that already exists, a painting, a photo, and I tell my students, use as much vocabulary as you can to come up with an image that is as close as possible to this one. And then if it's a group, we can vote who got closer to it. And it's a creative way to explore vocabulary and artificial intelligence. There are many ways. We just need to learn how to adapt. But I don't believe it's going to kill. I believe it's going to change the way we we see creativity related to artificial
Uh-huh.
intelligence and technology.
I see. Thank you. Thank you very much for the answer, Simone. And I hope the answer is enough for the question for the audience. Thank you. Let's move to another question then. There are lots of the new teachers that they start their jobs, they have their beginning of their careers. So, what advice would you give to new or aspiring English language teachers who are just starting their teaching careers?
Um, be patient because the journey is going to drain you a bit, but it's also very rewarding. You have to be open-minded. You have to try to um, never stop learning. Yeah, and there are lots of opportunities for growth and for you to develop your skills better. You're going to get better at it. You're going to feel like you're mastering it as you go, but don't ever feel like you can do everything alone. There are peers, there are teachers, there are trainers, there are people you can exchange ideas with. You don't have to be alone or do things alone.
I see. Thank you. Thank you very much, Simone. And I have another question about the students. So, sometimes, the teachers, face difficulties, even they are experienced teachers, creating a student-centered classroom, okay, environment. That's sometimes they feel difficulties about it. So what strategies do you suggest for creating this environment that promotes active language learning? What are your suggestions?
I think involving students' interests at the beginning of the year or the semester or the term, I like to pass out a survey to ask my students what songs they listen to, what series they watch, what games they play, what hobbies they have. And then as I come up with the lessons, I try to integrate things that are part of their interests. So if I'm using a song, it might as well be a song from that list. If I'm going to play a game, I'm going to try to do the visuals similar to a game that they like. If they are working adults, try to bring something related to their work that teaching grammar associated to their careers. It's hard to personalize everything, but at least a little bit, and what comes up the most is something you can bring to class and try to integrate their interests and their likes
I
to your
see.
classes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Simone. Okay, you know the